Hello and welcome to Ginger Prime. My name is Brian, and in this video we're going to dive into the world of Destiny and get you caught up to speed, whether you're brand new or returning to this game after a long break. Destiny is an evolving world, and one where things will change, get added, and even taken away. If anything in this game was consistent, it honestly would be how Bungie is able both to hype and frustrate the player base every few months. So anyway, if you're using this video as a way to decide if you should play this game, my best advice here is yes, and it's free. You can go download this game right now and play for free, and you should do so. Your personal review of this game is the only one that really matters in my opinion, but it's also the focus of this guide to help you get caught up to speed on what you need to know and how about to go maximizing your fun within the game itself. This guide is also going to focus heavily on those new and returning players coming into Season 11, also known as Season of the Arrivals. A lot of change is actually coming with September with Beyond Light, and we'll cover that here in this guide as well. So if for some reason this is the video that YouTube is recommending for you, check the link in the description below for my Destiny 2 playlist, so updated guides will be posted there, and you can find all my previous guides regarding Destiny there as well. In case you're looking for more in-depth guides regarding to character selection, class selection, subtrees, all the good stuff is all broken down in the playlist in the description of this video. And since this video covers a wide range of topics, be sure to check the playhit on YouTube or in the description below for timestamps to jump to any particular area where you're most interested in me covering. So first let me say welcome to Destiny. This video is going to dive into what's changing with Beyond Light, cross-save and how to enable it, exploring your UI, questing, and what you should be doing and how to do it, and then getting you caught up to speed on the Destiny content loop for Season 11. Alright, so let's go ahead and have some fun here. Since I don't know when the last time we played Destiny 2 was, let me just say this, new light players, or if you're returning and you've been away since year 1 or year 2, your power level is going to start at 750. That's just going to be across the board. There's no way to go below 750. Welcome to 750, and from here you're going to be able to jump into a lot of content and really knock it out, as well as you're going to be within striking distance within the Shadowkeep expansion here on the moon. But beyond Shadowkeep and the moon, there is something you need to know. With Beyond Light, a lot of stuff is changing, and that's Mercury, Io, Mars, Titan, the Leviathan raid. All of that's going away into what's called the Destiny Content Vault. And in its place, we're getting Europa, a new planet, and we're getting the Cosmodrome back here on Earth, which is currently the European Dead Zone at the time of this recording. So just pay attention. The reason why you should check out this game and come back, or just come play New Light this summer before Beyond Light, well, at the end of the day, it's because you're not going to have access to the Red War campaign and some of those early first year stuff that was introduced in Destiny 2 several years ago. So you might be wondering, where do I go when I'm brand new or returning? I'm kind of lost. And you can see here on the main menu, I want to go and select the tower, and I'm going to take you over to Amanda Holiday. And so she's right here in the tower, but you have your waypoint right here. Just launch that, go into the tower. If you're brand new, this is New Light for you. You'll end up having some introductory quest that takes you into the Cosmodrome, and then eventually you're actually going to end up in the tower anyway. It's inevitable that that happens, but let's direct you first to Amanda Holiday in case you haven't cleared the Red War, Osiris, or Warmind. If you talk to Amanda Holiday, you'll see legacy content for the Red War, Curse of Osiris, and Warmind. This is how you kick those quests off. Now within your HUD, if you bring up your director here by holding down the select button, this is going to tell you pretty much everything you need to know. If I focus here on destinations, you can see various track quests that I am tracking in this case right now for the Dreaming City, and you're going to see different planets that you unlock. If you look at the campaign symbols, this is going to help kind of navigate you through the story and campaigns of the different quests. Every campaign, every year, every expansion has its own symbol. And that's actually detailed out in this Bungie help article that I'll put a link in the description below, but you can see the Red War, Curse of Osiris, Warmind. These are called watermarks, and this is going to deal with more about how power caps have been introduced with Season 11. We'll cover that more in detail later in this video. It's not as bad as at least you might have heard, but if nothing else, I do want to make sure you know about it because it's going to affect how you should focus your progression here in just a little bit. So with our quests and our content accepted, let's go ahead and take a quick look here at maps, destinations, and quests. Whenever you're on a planet or in anything, you can pull up the map and it's going to give you general information about what is going on. If you see any of these waypoints, you can easily fast travel on the map to jump to those at any point in time. So just kind of take a look at that. If you end up selecting any particular item, let's say if I go to destinations, let's go to European Dead Zone, just for example, and let's say I wanted to get my hands dirty with this adventure, another piece of content, you should actually pay attention to these. These can be a lot of fun. You'll notice that the waypoint ends up being highlighted with a star. So it's saying, hey, this is the waypoint you want to jump to. So if you pick anything, it's going to tell you, hey, this is the quickest path to be able to jump into that and be able to migrate yourself to that different part of the map. Any particular quests that were designated with that symbol, or you can also see quests that have this crown symbol. Those are connected to also content that you want to focus in on and do at that point in time. So just keep in mind, if there's Red War campaign stuff on this map, that's where I want to go and focus. You'll also see varying little symbols on the map itself. In this case, like the drain. This is called a lost sector. You can see several listed around the area. Loot, all kinds of stuff is connected with these. These can definitely be worth checking out, especially as it applies to your power gain. And we'll talk more about your power gain here in just a little bit. Now, one of the most confusing and sometimes even frustrating things comes in the form of quests and how they're set up within Destiny 2. Destiny 2 is set up similar to an MMORPG, and in fact, the developers actually call it that. Think of it more as a shared world action RPG, and sometimes there's going to be things that the game asks of you in terms of quests that you might not find interesting. The number one comment I often am asked is, does this game still force me into PvP? And while the game has evolved to this point and gotten much better, yes, there are some things that are going to take you into PvP if you want to complete that quest itself. But you can see here, right here on the main menu, on quests, I'm tracking a few quests. You can easily do this, turn them on and off with the A button. This is going to help navigate you in your director via the destinations tab. So if it's driving you into something specific, kind of look for that green symbol itself. And overall, it's going to tell you what you need to do and how you're progressing along its way to be able to get access to it. Here on the left-hand side, this is just your general, here's all your quests. If you wanted to filter them down by Shadowkeep in this case, seasonal in this case, what's going on with season 11, then you can say playlist, different things that you need to do for the playlist, any exotic quests that you have to unlock your varying exotic weapons, and then finally any kind of past quests. And some of these I felt like I was making good progress on, but I believe they might have gotten reset as I've done. It's been a while since I've been back in the game itself. I'm going to direct you quickly to the store itself, because if you're just a new light player and you're curious about what you should be purchasing, I would recommend, because you get the Red War, you get the year one stuff for free as a part of New Light. Forsaken itself, I think, is a very good campaign. We don't at this time have any word on if that's going to be a part of the quote-unquote New Light free expansion. So if you're kind of on the wait and fence, just hold off on this. However, Shadowkeep, and in this case, I'm already ready for Beyond Light, are two of the things that are be coming up. Shadowkeep being a good and very nice value. You're not going to be cut out actually of any of the content from your Strikes playlist. Let me just kind of go back to the directory here real quick to explain this if you guys haven't heard. If you go into your Vanguard Strikes playlist, you're not going to get limited. You're going to be put into any of the strikes that are currently available in the game itself. So you don't have to actually own the expansion. However, if you do own the expansion, you can actually kick off that strike specifically as needed. So that is just one helpful way you can go about it. And what I mean by kickoff strikes, if we go back to the European Dead Zone, you can see here Lake of Shadows. This is a strike that I can kick off. It's a 3-person I wouldn't say dungeon, because the game has introduced dungeons into it, but it's just a way that you can have that PvE content. It's going to matchmake you with other players and take you into the content itself. I'm highlighting the Lake of Shadows because this is also a really great way to power up. A lot of quests somewhat connect into it. There's also a lot of taken. Sometimes that helps feed different quests itself. So just kind of pay attention to the quest and your objectives. But Lake of Shadows is a great way to farm up at least to 110 power level, and the current soft cap being 1050, the current hard cap being 1060. A little bit more on that when we get into our progression, but just note that the game will easily feed you up to 1050, and then if you want to get to 1060 and beyond, that's going to take a little bit more effort on your behalf. But anyway, Lake of Shadows, really good strike for you guys to dive in and play around with that. So quest in and of itself, you can see varying different things that you need to do, and ultimately it's up to you to do those. This is then coupled right now with your bounties, and bounties are important because they're also going to again tie into progression, tie into your seasonal progression, etc. And there are varying vendors who actually reward these. So let me go back into my destinations, and we're going to pretty much focus here on the tower. And the reason is that when you talk to these vendors, they're not going to tell you, but you can see the blue starred vendors. In this case, I've completed one bounty of 8 for the week, and my reward is, in this case, powerful gear. And you can see that I am hovering over these 3 vendors specifically because they're also going to reward powerful gear. So pay attention to them. If you go, in this case, talk to like Banshee for the gunsmith, you're going to see a few things. You're going to see the first 2 are his weekly bounties. They're going to tell you what you need to do to complete them. You have all week to get them done. They're also going to reward XP, glimmer, and upgrade modules, which you can also purchase, but you also want to make sure you're getting a nice supply of those upgrade modules. After that, you're going to see dailies, and this also applies to Shaxx and all the other vendors as well. So just keep in mind, you've got these, it's going to tell you what to do, and you have the opportunity to roll for a random one as well. By far, they all are pretty cheap and easily to do, but they do expire within 24 hours, or in this case, 1 day, 3 hours from the purchase of the bounty itself. And then the random one you can see here, it costs a little bit more, but you can still feed yourself with plenty of bounties in and of itself. So you have a week to complete 8 bounties for these different vendors. And this also applies to a wide range of activities. So just kind of use your cursor, hover over different objects to find out what absolutely needs to happen. Now you can see here on this specific quest for the season arrivals, this is going to reward pinnacle gear. There is a difference between powerful gear and pinnacle gear, and this all ties into your power level. All right, so now I think it's important to talk about your power level. We talked about being the soft cap for the season is at 1050 and the hard cap being at 1060. If I hover over any piece of gear in my inventory right now, I can see a few different numbers, and this is where some of the controversy has come in to play with the game recently. The current power for this piece of gear is at 1005. The power limit on this is set at 1060, and the seasonal power cap on this piece of gear is set at 1060. So the power limit is new and introduced as a way to try to create demand for new gear, especially as the game continues to evolve over the next 3 years. The seasonal power cap, the hard cap, is at 1060, but as I play the game, it's going to feed me gear up to pretty much 1050 at the powerful level drop. It's going to take pinnacle drops to take me from 1050 to 1060. Where this also gets a little complex is that you have an infinite value leveling tool right here in your seasonal artifact. So as much XP as you can pour into your artifact, the more extra power levels you're going to unlock, but that's going to reset at the end of the current season. With the varying power levels with your season, you can unlock new modifiers for your weapons and armor. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot of different ways to kind of play around and build it out. But at the end of the season, things change. New season begins. A new power hunt essentially kicks off as well. Now, if you look at a piece that I've got for the current season, you can see the power limit on this is 1360. That means that as I play the game, this gear and this piece of gear is going to be more relevant over time than the gear that I have right here, which is going to say, hey, at the end of the season, new gear is going to drop, and I'm not going to be able to infuse or power that anymore. But during this season, I can infuse and power it up. And this ties into Armor 2.0 as just an approach that was introduced with New Light and with Shadowkeep itself. With Armor 2.0, you can take various currencies and infuse it into your gear and thus increase the amount of modifiers that you can equip. Modifiers do not expire. Once you unlock them, you unlock them. So there's definitely a quest for modifiers that are going to happen, and you can purchase those at different vendors. We've covered that more in depth in previous guides, so I don't want to just harp on that here. But just keep in mind, the reason why you want to keep that power level of importance is that if it's going to be capped, I would not recommend using a lot of power and energy and resources into unlocking those caps. The nice thing is that for like exotics, those nice yellows that you can equip, you're going to see that they are currently not having any kind of power cap. So keeping exotics always relevant because of the rarity itself, but we're seeing with legendaries that's where things and power caps are being introduced overall. As you level, as you get drops, pretty much up to 110, which you can get all the way just by doing varying strikes and different playlists. That's gonna be how you power up. By playing the game, doing your story missions, things are gonna drop. As far as it goes, I would always pay attention to the icon in the corner. This plays back to what we covered earlier with the different watermarks that you see here. So with the new season, Season of the Dawn, through the Worthy and Arrivals, you can see when the planned power cap is to be implemented. So you do have quite a bit of time with the piece of gear. So if I focus in on Season of Arrival gears with this watermark, up to season 14 is where this is going to cap. Season 12 is what kicks off year 4, where, and then it's going to go into its regular season model in which you have 4 seasons itself. From a gear preview perspective, when you know a gear is at max cap, it's going to have a new watermark that is kind of filled in with this gray box, as opposed to if it is not currently at the max power cap, it's going to still continue that transparent view. So again, you can see that reflected here in my gear with the varying watermarks, etc. So now let's talk about that powerful versus pinnacle grind. As a player, you're going to want to focus in on powerful rewards first and foremost and try to knock out this content first. So that's 8 gambits, 8 gunsmiths, 8 crucibles, and 8 vanguard bounties from these 4 vendors. Doing that is going to give you and feed you that powerful gear. And you can see here, obviously in the little pop-up, it's going to tell you what it's going to reward you. From here, within the Crucible, you want to focus in on the 2 rotator playlists. In this case, you can pick either one, but you see rotator matches completed 0-4. That's going to reward powerful gear. If you look at the core matches, that's going to reward pinnacle gear. So you want to hold off on that. The other thing, just from a kind of just a heads up notification, you can see all these nice little gold stars. That is telling you you want to go to these areas to be able to progress. And there's going to be different content on that planet or on that location in order to be able to progress more. You can see powerful gear tier 2. This is obviously more powerful than just tier 1, so helping you to progress further. But that's what that star is telling you. It's telling you, hey, pay attention over here. This is where you want to go. Within Gambit, same kind of system. If you look at Prime, that's going to be pinnacle. Ideally, you want to knock out all your powerfuls for the week first. So in this case right now, you can see both Gambit and Gambit Prime are on that pinnacle gear. And it's just 3 matches. You get to choose what you want specifically each. Within your Vanguard playlist, you can see here your daily heroic mission. It actually is going to give you powerful, so make sure that you check this out. From here on Vanguard Strikes, it's going to track that, in this case, for pinnacle gear. And for the Nightfall, the Ordeal, you have 2 options here. If you get and you do 3 of these, you get powerful. Otherwise, if you get a team score of over 100,000, you're going to get your pinnacle reward. So you have 2 ways of playing that itself. On the Moon, you can actually knock out 3 nightmare hunts for powerful gear, and if you do that at a master difficulty, that's going to help get you that weekly pinnacle gear. On Io, you can check out the Contact public event. This also ties into progression and your engrams. You can see here, Contact, you're going to get powerful gear at a tier 2 level. And one thing regarding dungeons to kind of point out, by completing the dungeon, you're actually going to get pinnacle gear, but powerful gear can actually drop along the way. So just keep that in mind. Using dungeons is definitely a leveling up tool and powering up tool as well. All right, so now let's go ahead and actually talk to the Drifter in this area. This is going to be heavily dealing with Season 11, Season of Arrivals. As you've done the main stories, it's going to force you right into a quest as soon as you jump into the game. As a part of Season of Arrivals, after doing your introductory, if you're a new light individual, you can come over here to the Prismatic Recaster. This is going to be where a lot of the progression is made. In this case, you can also grab some weekly bounties. And this is going to help feed you lots of really good stuff. So just kind of pay attention to what this vendor has, as well as the bounties themselves. Pulling it in, I can say any of these engrams that I have. In this case, I've got a couple umbrals. I can kind of focus in on what kind of tier piece of gear am I looking for. Let me just go and pick on a couple of weapons just for the fun of it. So I now have my engrams. Let me go and now talk to the darkness here. And this is where I can translate these into actual actionable items and weapons. Just grab all this. So with all that recast, now I can pull up my character and I can start to see what gear is dropping and what power level. So this definitely has a much higher power level, but again, this is where it comes into the infusion versus powering up aspect. Now I need to spend currency to be able to power these up so I can equip either the mods that I have, or I can choose to infuse. This is going to be where player agency comes into play. You're going to have to make whatever is the best decision for you at this time. I can't make it for you now, but what I can recommend is that as a part of this season, focusing in on that watermark with Season of the Rivals is going to help pay it out, so you're not going to have that need to upgrade as quickly as a part of that. So if you're concerned with hitting that power cap, just pay attention to the watermark. This current season is going to give you obviously the best bang for your buck. So if you were thinking about using this to upgrade varying pieces of gear in this area, I might hold off and just say, well, if you really like the look or the feel of that piece, that robe, go from there. Otherwise, in this case, I've already been infusing or at least adding in a couple mods to this piece of gear. Maybe this is going to make more sense to actually use the infuse method. It just depends on what I have access to. In this case, dismantle for infusion is all that's needed and glimmer is all that's required, so I don't have to sit here and worry about those upgrade modules. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and do it, and now my piece of gear is at a 103, where before it was just at 1,000. So that's where all this is going to come into play. So pay attention to those currencies using for your infusion, etc. So finally, Destiny 2 is available on Xbox, PS4, PC, and Stadia. It supports cross-save. With Beyond Light, it's going to support intergenerational cross-play, so Xbox Ones and Xbox Series X's can play together, PS4 and PS5 are going to be able to play together, so you're not going to be cut off there. But if you are like me and you play on a wide range of platforms, you can always come out to Bungie.net. You can click on the cross-save under your profile, and here it's going to have you view your setup, or in this case, set it up and configure it so that you can have it. I highly recommend doing this, even if you're only playing on one platform. If you ever like, yep, I'd like to transfer platforms, your characters and all that come with you. It just gets a little complex because if you already had characters on multiple platforms, then you're going to have to pick and choose. You can't sit here and say, I want this character from PC and this character from my PlayStation 4. You have to pick all your characters from PlayStation or all your characters from PC. But then from that point on and forward, you're good to go. All your characters are your characters wherever you go. Highly recommend it. Or you could be interesting and have different characters on each platform and just play the game itself. Anyway, that wraps it up for this Destiny 2 Getting Started Back in Season 11 2020 guide. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And if you feel like I've earned your sub, I hope you hit that subscribe button and you come back for more videos. Just like Justin did when says what I love about this channel is it's honest, no hype, no unnecessary drama. Just honest words about gaming, proud to sub. And Extinct who writes, Ginger Prime, thank you, I appreciate it. I'm going to give you a sub and stay tuned. So thank you to Extinct and to Justin for hitting that subscribe button. If this is the video that does it for you, be sure to let me know in the comments below so I can thank you properly in upcoming videos, and welcome to the Soul Nation. But for Ginger Prime, my name's Brian. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have an incredible day, and I'll see you in my next video. But until then, take care. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. This video is sponsored by me. If you guys like podcast and long form content, I hope you check out Ginger Gaming Radio. Link will be in the description of this video below. So if you're still watching this video, thank you, and check out the new channel for more content, and hopefully you enjoy. Thank you.